You know that feeling, right? You've poured your heart and soul, not to mention your budget, into your website. But for some reason, it's just stuck. Traffic's flat, you're not getting the leads you expected, and you just can't figure out why. It feels like you're trying to solve a mystery, but you have no idea where the clues are.
So yeah, where do you even start? It can feel totally overwhelming. It's kind of like you're a detective showing up to a crime scene, but there are no leads, no witnesses, nothing. How do you find that one crucial piece of evidence that's holding your site back from what it could be?
Well, that's where our investigation officially kicks off. It's with something called an SEO audit. The best way to think about it is as a full systematic health check for your site. It's designed to do one thing: uncover all those hidden problems and, just as important, all those hidden opportunities you've been missing.
All right, so just like any good detective story, the first thing we have to do is gather the facts. We need to secure the scene. This first section is all about building a really solid foundation for our case by collecting all of those initial clues.
So what are the very first things a senior expert does when they get on the case? Well, first, they just gather up all the raw data they can get their hands on. Then, they dive into a technical review. We're talking about checking the actual foundation and structure of the site. And finally, they analyze its performance and user experience to see how it actually feels for real people. This gives us the whole picture.
Now, let's get specific about the evidence we're looking for. Crawlability and indexation. That's a big one. It basically means, can search engines even get in the door and find your pages? Broken links? Those are just dead ends for everyone, users and search engines. Redirect chains are like a confusing maze that can get Google totally lost. And canonical errors? That's when you have a bunch of identical pages and Google has no clue which one is the real one. And of course, if your site isn't mobile-friendly today, well, that's a huge problem. Every single one of these is a critical piece of evidence.
And hey, a detective is only as good as their toolkit, right? For this first part of the investigation, we're using some key tools. Google's Search Console gives us intel straight from the source, Google itself. Then you've got something like Screaming Frog, which is like our forensic scanner, crawling every last inch of the site for clues. And PageSpeed Insights, that's our stopwatch, telling us exactly how fast or slow the site is for users. Okay, so once we've gathered all the physical evidence, it's time to start questioning the witnesses. Now, in the SEO world, our witnesses are the website's content and all the links pointing to it. They're the ones who tell us the real story of the site's quality and its online reputation. And this shows you the huge difference between a reliable witness and, well, an unreliable one. On one side, you've got thin content. This is duplicate, low-value stuff that really doesn't help anybody. But on the other side, you've got quality content. It's unique, it actually solves a problem for the user, and it's trustworthy. The audit's job is to figure out which content is helping your case and which is actively hurting it.
Now, the other part of talking to witnesses is looking at your site's reputation. I mean, who's vouching for you online? That's really what backlinks are. They're votes of confidence from other websites. So we have to analyze their quality. Are they coming from trustworthy sources? Or are they toxic links from some, let's just say, sketchy neighborhoods on the internet? It's all about who your site is associated with.
And for this phase of the interrogation, we bring in another set of awesome tools. Ahrefs or Majestic, these are like our background checkers. They help us evaluate every single backlink. Then you have tools like SEMrush or Moz, which help us analyze all the on-page stuff and find any gaps in our keyword strategy. Okay, so we've gathered the physical evidence. We've questioned the witnesses. Now comes the part that really separates the rookies from the senior experts. It's time to connect all the dots. This is where a big, messy pile of clues gets turned into a coherent, winning strategy. And here's the absolute key. A lot of people think an audit is just about running a tool and getting a giant list of problems. But a real expert knows that's not the point. It's not about finding everything that's broken. It's about understanding which of those things actually matter to the case and which ones need to be fixed right now. Let me give you a perfect example. Experts think in terms of impact versus effort. So on the left, we've got a critical crawl error. That is a high-impact problem, but it's often a pretty easy fix. That's a huge priority, because if Google can't even see your pages, nothing else you do matters. On the right, you have something like rewriting a few minor meta descriptions. That's a lot of work for a very low impact. An expert knows exactly where to focus their energy to get the biggest results fast. And a huge piece of this strategy is looking beyond your own crime scene. Just like this quote says, experts are always benchmarking against the competition. They're looking for gaps. What are your competitors doing that you aren't? What opportunities have they missed that you can jump on?
That context is absolutely essential. All right, we are in the home stretch. We've gathered the clues. We've questioned the witnesses. We've connected the dots. The investigation is complete. But the job isn't over until you deliver that final report and turn this whole audit into a real, concrete action plan.
Look, a truly great audit report is not some 50-page document full of charts that no one will ever read. It has to be a strategic guide. It needs to have super clear findings, that prioritized task list we just talked about, a good estimate of how much work each task is going to be, and what results you can expect. And most importantly, everything has to tie back to the big picture business goals.
Because really, that's the ultimate goal here. The audit has to produce a clear, shared roadmap that everyone can understand and follow. It tells the developers what to fix, it tells the content team what to create, and it tells the stakeholders why all this work is so important. It gets everyone on the same page working together to solve the case.
So, I really want to leave you with this final thought. An SEO audit is an incredibly powerful tool for figuring out what's holding your website back. But its real value isn't just in knowing what's wrong. It's in having a clear, prioritized plan to make it right. The investigation is really just the beginning.